Discover the miraculous path to divine focus. 7 sacred insights from spiritual masters. Revealed. In a little village enfolded by rolling hills, where the air hummed with the sweet scent of wildflowers, lived Thomas, a devoted church elder with a heart pure as the morning dew. His unwavering faith was the light that guided the community, a beacon of hope that shone brightly for all. But the peace of this pastoral haven was shattered when Thomas's beloved daughter Lucy fell gravely ill. The doctors delivered a heartbreaking verdict. Her condition was hopeless. Despair like a dark cloud hung over Thomas's heart, dimming the light of his faith until it flickered in danger of extinguishing. As he knelt in prayer, tears staining the earth below him, he recalled the spiritual masters who spoke of faith unyielding even under the fiercest trials. Their whispers echoed in his heart, urging him not to lose the connection to the divine. In a moment of clarity spurred by a family friend's encouragement, Thomas realized the incredible power of collective prayer. He gathered the villagers at their cherished local chapel for a prayer vigil, the stained glass windows glowing like the embers of hope itself. That humble chapel, filled with the warm flicker of candles, echoed with the voices of friends and family invoking Saint Anthony, the saint of miraculous intercession. The air thickened with anticipation, each prayer a tendril ascending to the heavens. Suddenly, a brilliant light suffused the space, illuminating the faithful who lifted their hands in unison, the atmosphere charged with expectation. It felt as if the very heavens were bending their ear closer to listen. Weeks passed, and fervent prayers filled every corner of the chapel, yet the miracle seemed distant. As tension mounted, doubt wormed its way into seasoned hearts. Feeling desperate, Thomas wandered into dubious paths, each promising potions and remedies to cure his little angel, but they only spiraled him deeper into worry. Was he faltering in his faith, or simply a father seeking a shred of hope? Then, one fateful night, a candle-lit prayer rekindled glimmers of divinity. The soft flames flickered in rhythm with the gathered congregation's hearts, united in fervent supplication for Lucy's recovery. Suddenly, amidst the hush, an extraordinary vision appeared. Ethereal light surrounded Lucy, whispering to Thomas's soul. The realization blossomed in him. True sight isn't about what you see, but what you believe with a heart wide open. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the light dimmed, the eyes of the village turned to Lucy, who began to stir, vibrant and renewed. In that moment, joy cascaded through the chapel, laughter mingling with tears. But as the dust of hope settled, another thought blossomed. What did this miracle truly mean? Could their string of fragile insights lead them to deeper realms of faith, or would they face another storm? In the buzz of hope that enveloped the village, Thomas stood at the threshold of transformation. The 7 sacred insights waited like petals yet to unfurl. What revelations would shape their understanding of faith now? How would they preserve this miracle during the trials lurking just beyond their peace? And so, with hearts eager and cloaked in wonder, the journey unfolded, each step brimming with divine mystery. What lay ahead was destined to change everything. The days unfurled like the petals of a flower, each one filled with the sweet fragrance of renewed faith. Lucy's laughter rang through the village once more, her small hands clutching wildflowers she had picked with joy. But as light flooded their lives, shadows lingered on the fringes, whispering doubts that tugged at hearts unaccustomed to such transformations. Thomas, full of gratitude but still wary, gathered the village once more in the chapel, wishing to deepen their faith together and understand the miracle that had encompassed them. The church glowed warmly in the afternoon sun, inviting hope as families clustered together, feeling the bond that had grown stronger during their prayers. "You see," he began, his voice trembling slightly with emotion, "we have touched the divine. We must not let this joyous moment slip away like sand through our fingers. Each of you holds a sacred insight to be shared." Nods swept through the congregation, encouragement sparking in their eyes. Old Mrs. Thompson, her hands weathered but steady, rose slowly to speak. "In the days of my youth, I too prayed for a miracle. But it was in the waiting that I found peace. Patience, my dear friends, is a gift from God." Her words unspooled a sense of calm. Quiet murmurs echoed in agreement, and one by one, villagers began to share their sacred truths. Young Matthew, still wide-eyed with amazement, spoke about belief shining brighter in darkness. "When we trust, it feels like a lantern guiding the way," he declared. As they exchanged their stories, a spirit of unity enveloped the room, each testimony weaving them closer together. The answers beckoned, unearthing deeper spiritual truths. Yet lurking beneath the surface were unspoken concerns, a reminder that with every miracle came a responsibility to safeguard their faith. What if doubts returned, like intrusive weeds, threatening to choke the very roots of their shared belief? "I feel the weight of doubt creeping in at times," Thomas confessed, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Especially when the skies grow dark. How do we keep this flame alive?" His honesty sparked a wave of vulnerability. Others nodded in understanding. They were not alone. In that space, they all recognized the fragility of faith, the need for a solid foundation to brace themselves against future turbulence. Then the wise words of Father Joseph, a beloved figure in the village, came to their hearts. "When storms come, remember that every drop of rain nurtures the roots of our faith. Enduring challenges come to prune us and bring forth new fruit." The congregation absorbed his wisdom, hearts lifting as hope pierced through doubt. Just as flourishes of wisdom encircled them, another wave surged. Deep within Thomas, the stirring of those sacred insights began to crystallize in his mind. 7 insights stood before him, waiting to be unveiled, each one a key to unlocking the mystery of their miraculous journey. But would they gather strength as a community? Would they create something powerful enough to sustain them through trials yet unseen? With newfound determination, Thomas vowed to lead the village towards understanding these insights, grounding their faith firmly in a shared experience of love and miracle. "Let us prepare to explore," he concluded, his heart aflame with purpose. But in the back of Thomas's mind, questions lingered restlessly. Were they truly ready to delve deeper into the roots of their faith? Or would they find themselves confronted once again by unseen doubts lurking in the calm? What awaited them in this exploration? What revelations would bloom from their newfound unity, and what tests would their journey confront? The path ahead shimmered with divine promise, calling them to follow. The following Sunday dawned bright and clear, the sun casting gentle rays that danced upon the faces of the villagers as they gathered once again in the chapel. An electric anticipation hung in the air, a blend of hope and eagerness, creating a sacred atmosphere thick enough to touch. Each heart beat in unison, thrumming with the promise of what was to come. Thomas stood before them, filled with a fervent energy, the weight of their collective faith resting on his shoulders. "Today, my friends, we begin our journey to unveil the 7 sacred insights," he declared, his voice rising above the murmurs, igniting their spirits. As he spoke, the villagers leaned in closer, hungry for wisdom. "Each insight will guide us, strengthen our faith, and deepen our understanding of the miraculous," he continued. The reverberations of his words seemed to awaken something deep within, knitting their hearts together into one. The first insight flowed from Thomas's lips like honey, sweet and smooth. The first is that faith is a seed, and prayer is the water. Without nurturing it, how can we expect it to grow? He gestured towards the small window where a single flower bloomed defiantly amidst the cracks of stone. Just as this flower has blossomed against all odds, so too can our faith flourish if we care for it daily. A kind, elderly woman named Mrs. Adams spoke up, her voice trembling but resolute. "It's true, dear Thomas. I remember the days when my faith felt like a mere whisper. It was only when I decided to pray, even when it seemed pointless, that I felt my roots digging deeper. God listens, even when the silence feels heavy." Nods spread throughout the room again, as members of the congregation began to connect their own experiences to the truth of his words. The warmth in the air felt tangible now, wrapping around their hearts, mingling with the fragrance of the wildflowers and candles burning in the corners. One by one, Thomas revealed the subsequent insights, each more powerful than the last. The second spoke of community, how unity and shared moments of worship could bolster individual faith. "We are stronger together. When doubts whisper in our ears, your voices can drown them out." The crowd erupted with murmurs of agreement, light shining in their eyes. With each revelation, more stories came forth, voices breaking through the barriers of silence. Young Lucy, still clutching her bouquet of wildflowers, shared joyfully of a time when her prayers had felt unanswered. Yet in her struggles, she found her mom's unwavering faith guiding her back. "It was not just my prayer, but hers too. It showed me that we are never alone." The chapel echoed with their shared laughter and tears, a symphony of faith and love woven together. But even amid the joy, a looming shadow lingered, reminding them that the insights, while powerful, would not erase all doubt. Perhaps they would still face trials as the path unfolded, turns and obstacles they could not foresee. As dusk began to kiss the horizon, Thomas felt an urgency rise within him. The seventh insight, the final discovery, is that trials are but tests meant to refine us, much like fire shapes gold. He paused, letting the truth sink in. It is here, amid the furnace of our struggles, that we truly discover the strength of our faith and the depth of God's love. His heart thudded as he considered how this journey would transform them individually and as a community. Would they be able to embrace the challenges ahead, trusting in the insights they had learned? Would their faith shine brightly enough to guide others through their dark nights? Each faithful heart resonated with the possibilities stretching before them. And so, they left the chapel carrying the warm embers of hope within them, eager to explore the miracles waiting on their path. What challenges awaited them? Would they be prepared to face the tests that would drive them deeper into the mystery of divine love? As they stepped into the twilight, the horizon promised answers yet unknown. The villagers walked from the chapel, hearts alive with the promise of discovery. The sunset painted the sky in brilliant hues, as if the heavens themselves celebrated the revelations they had received. Each person held the insights close, like a precious treasure. As they moved, Thomas felt the weight of their hopes flaring brighter with each step. He couldn't shake the thought of what lay ahead. The world outside the chapel was full of uncertainties, but their faith was a sanctuary. He looked at the faces around him, some lit with joy, others shadowed by quiet contemplation. Mrs. Adams lingered beside him. "You know, Thomas," she said softly, "the insights are but seeds. They need time and care to blossom in our lives. What happens if the winds of doubt blow strong?" Her question struck a chord deep within him. He gazed out at the horizon, where challenges often serrated the view of peace. "That's the very heart of faith, isn't it?" he replied. "To trust even when the storms come. We will need each other to weather those times." As they reached the village square, the children were playing nearby. Their laughter seemed to weave through the air, tangling joy with innocence. Thomas smiled at them, the simple beauty a reminder of what truly mattered. Yet, at that moment, he sensed a shift in the atmosphere. The laughter faded into whispers as folks began to gather, compelled by curiosity. A figure emerged from the shadows, the traveler from the last market day. He looked weathered and worn, but his eyes sparkled with urgency. "Hallelujah, dear friends," he called, his voice breaking through the murmurs. "I bring news. The time of trouble is upon us." Gasps echoed through the square. Fear flickered across the faces that had shone with hope moments ago. "What do you mean?" a man named Joseph bravely asked, stepping forward. "The land is parched, and the crops struggle. We grow weaker as the seasons wear on. Doubts will rise like weeds in that barren soil." The traveler's voice dripped with passion, but it carried a weight of foreboding. "However, it is also a time for awakening. Such trials can move mountains." Thomas felt the air shift, vibrating with tension. Questions surged in his heart. Would this be their crucible? Was this the very test that would either pull them apart or deepen their roots? "Together, we can rise against this," he shouted, finding his own strength in unity. Just as we opened our hearts in the chapel, we must now open our hands to help one another. We are called to reflect his love in these times. Immediate murmurs of agreement surged, and the villagers rallied behind Thomas, strength growing in unison. Yet even amidst their determination, doubt lingered at the edges like mist. What if their unity faltered when faced with hardship? A gust of wind whispered through the square, sending a shiver down Thomas's spine, as if the spirit was awakening deep. "We hold the seeds of faith in our hearts," he reminded them. "And together, no matter how fierce the storm, we shall cultivate a garden of miracles." He could sense it. The flicker of hope was ignited again. Though challenges loomed, a voice within urged him onward, beckoning them to embrace the unknown. As twilight deepened, the villagers formed small circles, exchanging stories of faith and aspirations. Laughter mingled again with prayer, creating an atmosphere of expectancy. Each moment felt sacred, yet the question loomed large. What profound trials awaited them on this journey? Would they indeed rise together, or would the weight of external circumstances drive them apart? With each step taken toward the uncertainties ahead, Thomas felt a thrilling spark of divine promise flickering in his heart, guiding them into uncharted waters. The next day dawned with a quiet intensity, the sun threading its golden rays through the trees and casting long shadows on the village. Thomas woke with resolve. He felt the heartbeat of the village within him, pulsing with the promise of unity. As he stepped outside, he was met by the fragrant scent of dew-kissed earth, a gentle reminder of new beginnings. Gathering at the village square, the people formed a semicircle, eager for direction. Their eyes sparkled with a growing sense of purpose. An elder named Mara, with silver hair glowing in the morning light, approached Thomas with a somber look. "Have you considered the stories we share?" she asked, her voice a soothing melody amidst the rustling leaves. "Our stories are the threads that bind us, yet they can also unearth the fears buried deep within." Thomas nodded, acutely aware of the weight of their narratives. "Sharing these experiences may indeed deepen our connection," he said softly. "We must share not just the victories, but also the struggles. Through vulnerability, we shall strengthen our faith." With that, the villagers began speaking, one by one, lifting their voices to share the trials they had faced, the loss of loved ones, the shadow of sickness, the barren fields that mirrored their weary souls. Each story flowed like a river, bringing tears of empathy and moments of laughter that threaded hope into the fabric of their gathering. As laughter swelled and tears fell, a palpable energy filled the air, invigorating them. Thomas felt the spirit in the whispers and gasps, awakening their hearts to a divine purpose. "We are not alone," he called out, "not in our struggles nor in our dreams. Let us remind one another that within every storm lies the opportunity for growth." Suddenly, a young girl named Lily shouted, "But how do we cultivate faith when fear tries to silence us?" Her innocent voice broke through the haze, resonating with a truth that silenced even the most restless hearts. Thomas turned to her, remembering his own moments of doubt. "Lily, it's in the act of tending to one another that we cultivate faith," he replied, his heart warm. We must remember that God works in the shadows, shaping us even when we cannot see it. Faith is trust without sight, a bridge over our fears. The villagers nodded, inspired by the clarity in his words. Yet deep within him, Thomas felt a stirring. What if their faith was indeed tested in more profound ways? As clouds began to amass in the sky, bringing the threat of rain, a shared murmur of uncertainty passed through the group. "Will we falter as the storms rise?" someone whispered, fear creeping back. "Remember," Thomas raised his voice once more, "every storm brings rain, and with rain comes a harvest. We must prepare our hearts and minds to embrace what is coming, trusting in His plan. It is time to plant seeds of love and kindness, not just amongst ourselves, but throughout the village." With newfound determination, they resolved to spread kindness in tangible ways, offering help to those burdened, sharing the joy of their blessings, and even tilling land together, preparing for the storms and the bountiful harvest to follow. As they split into groups to put their intentions into action, Thomas looked to the gathering clouds. The once faded fears resurfaced, but so did a stronger resolve. In the midst of the labor, a gentle breeze wafted through the square, stirring the villagers' hair and carrying with it the sweet earthy scent of promise. As they worked, deep within Thomas, a flicker ignited. What if true miracles awaited them on the other side of their trials? Just then, a flash of lightning illuminated the sky, followed by a low rumble of thunder. Would the storms reveal the true heart of their faith, or would it test the very bonds they had set out to strengthen? The clouds hung heavy with the weight of impending rain, and Thomas realized that the storm was not just a test, it was a divine invitation to step boldly into something greater. The rumble of thunder echoed through the valley, a sound like the ancient voice of creation reminding them that they were part of something larger. As the winds picked up, Thomas could feel the tension in the air, both electrifying and fearsome. He took a deep breath, his heart swelling with both trepidation and hope. The villagers, with their hands still working the soil, looked up at the darkening sky. Eyes wide, they exchanged glances, anticipating what was to come. Thomas raised his arms, calling for their attention. "Friends, this storm is a sign, an opportunity to dig deeper, to lean on each other, and to trust in the love that binds us." Mara stepped closer, her weathered face creased into an encouraging smile. "The storms of life often sweep our anxieties into the open. Let us not hide from it, but embrace it, together." As they stood in a semicircle amidst the looming clouds, a deep sense of unity formed. There was vulnerability in the air, but a warmth spread through all their interconnected hearts. Each villager, with a shared purpose, tightened their grip on the tools in their hands, ready to champion the task ahead. Suddenly, droplets began to fall from the sky, as if heaven itself was showering them with blessings. The rain was gentle at first, a soft patter that mingled with the laughter erupting from the villagers. Each droplet became a reminder of God's promises. Every splash was a declaration of faith being ignited anew. Thomas looked around. The scene sparked a joy within him. The fields that had lay barren were now kissed by the gift of rain, and hope blossomed in the hearts of everyone present. He caught sight of Lily dancing in the rain, her laughter rising with each drop that fell. "See," he exclaimed, "even fear cannot withstand joy. Let it wash over you." With that, laughter filled the air, mingling with soft prayers offered to the skies. They continued to work, their spirits rising with each passing moment. The task of tilling the land was now a celebration, a sacred gathering under the curtain of clouds. But then, a sudden gust of wind swept through, knocking over a stack of tools. The laughter faded and was replaced with startled gasps. "What was that?" someone whispered, eyes flickering with doubt. "Fear not," Thomas shouted. "That wind is not here to break us. It is here to remind us that change is coming, and we are ready." With renewed vigor, the villagers dug deeper into the soil, the rain drenching them but also refreshing their spirits. The storm became a testament to their resolve as they labored side by side, facing the elemental might of nature with love and laughter. Yet in the depths of Thomas's heart, a question lingered. What would come after the storm? What miracles lay waiting in the wake of their trials? Each thunderclap echoed this inquiry in his mind, reverberating through the very fabric of his being. As the downpour intensified, they heard something else beneath the roar, the sound of powerful waves crashing on distant shores. In that moment, Thomas wondered, had the storm merely begun? What advent awaited them on the other side of their faith's trial? With their hearts beating as one, they prepared for whatever lay ahead, just as the storm conjured visions of hope and impending revelation. What awaited them was beyond the storm clouds. The rain began to transform, pouring with the vigor of 1,000 blessings. Each drop felt like a kiss from heaven, nourishing not just the thirsty soil, but the souls that toiled upon it. In the midst of the deluge, Thomas felt a wild exhilaration, as if he were on the precipice of something profound. The very air crackled with anticipation. "Listen!" a voice broke through the rhythmic patter. It was Mara, her eyes wide with wonder. "Do you hear that?" The villagers paused, straining to catch whatever melody danced upon the wind. It was unmistakable. The waves, crashing against the distant shore, rolled into their awareness like a prophecy unfolding. The sound grew louder, each crashing wave reverberating through their hearts. An unspoken understanding passed among them, a recognition of the movement of the spirit. "What if—" Thomas began, his voice trembling with excitement. "The storm we face isn't just about rain? What if it carries us into the unknown, into new beginnings?" As he spoke, the clouds above swirled ominously, yet there was a beauty in their chaos. The lightning slashed through the sky, illuminating the valley in flashes of brilliant light. With each crack, the villagers felt alive, awakened to the urgency of their existence. "Together we are stronger than we know," Thomas proclaimed, raising his arms once more. "Let the storm lead us. Let it guide us to the shores of our inheritance." Lily cheered, lifting her face to the rain. "We are the vessels of his love, and look at us, transformed by this storm." With a chorus of affirmations rising like steam from the drenched earth, the community resumed their work, the tools in their hands now symbolizing determination. The laughter returned, carrying their fears away like leaves on a current. Yet amongst the joy, a sense of prophecy lingered, weaving its way through their collective heartbeats. "Every storm carries a lesson," Mara whispered softly, her gaze distant and contemplative. "What shall we learn this time?" As the wind howled, a wave of courage surged through Thomas. "Let us be open to what the Father desires. He speaks through our struggles." He turned, directing their energy toward the dark horizon. What awaits us as we embrace this moment? What beauty is rising from our faith? As if by divine cue, the winds changed direction, swirling around them with an intensity that took the villagers' breath away. It was exhilarating and humbling, igniting hope as they felt the pull toward unknown possibilities. Yet, Thomas sensed a deeper call, one not just to witness, but to prepare. The crashing waves were more than sound. They beckoned like a promise, urging them to venture forth. Where would the tide take them? "Friends," he summoned, voice steady and inviting, "let us allow our hearts to be ready for what comes next. In unity, we will listen to his call. In faith, we will surge toward whatever miraculous path lies ahead." An electric silence followed his declaration, their hearts aligning in anticipation. The storm had awakened something in them, an understanding that the current of this life was not just chaos, but also a torrent of opportunity. In that moment, with thunder still rumbling, a question hung in the air, a question as vast as the sea that roared beyond the tempest. What wonders awaited them? Should they bravely step into the waves of divine purpose that beckoned from the horizon? As the wind howled and the rain poured, the villagers found themselves caught in a moment of divine connection. It was as if the heavens opened up and flooded their hearts with clarity. Thomas could feel it, a palpable energy that ignited his spirit and beckoned him forward. "Gather close," he shouted, feeling the warmth of their unity against the cool, stormy air. "We are being called, not just to weather the storm, but to dance within it." Their faces brightened, eyes sparkling in the downpour. Each drop seemed to erase doubt, replacing it instead with wild hope. Mara stepped closer to Thomas, her voice rising above the thunder. "What must we do, Thomas? How do we answer this call?" That question hung in the air, swirling around them with the wind. It was crucial, yet simple. Thomas took a deep breath, grounding himself before the unfolding of their shared destiny. "Come, let us seek together. Let our hearts be open. Let us kneel in gratitude for the storm, for only through the rain can we grow." At his words, a ripple of murmurs spread throughout the crowd. They knelt as one, feeling the earth kiss the heavens through the wet soil beneath them. The raindrops showered them like blessings falling from the very throne of God. The sheer weight of their prayers filled every heart with unspoken desire. "Lord, teach us," they prayed aloud in unison. "Guide our steps as we move forward." The prayer soared up, rising on the wings of the storm, wrapping around the tie that bound them together. In that sacred moment, the crashing waves sang a hymn, echoing their hopes and fears, merging with the earnestness of their faith. Thomas raised his head, eyes shimmering with belief. "Look, the ocean isn't a barrier, it's an invitation. We must not only acknowledge the waves, but also learn to ride them. Every crest and trough speaks of his faithfulness. Let's not retreat with fear. Let's embrace the journey ahead." He felt a thundering affirmation from the hearts of the villagers. They stood, pouring their faith into every breath. Each spirit was lit with purpose, rippling with the promise of what was to come. "Let this storm cleanse us. Let it wash away the doubts," Lily proclaimed, lifting her arms in surrender and joy. The wind caught her words, scattering them like sparks as the rain picked up pace, invigorating the air with its rhythm. "Oh, how beautiful this moment is," Mara shouted, her voice cutting through the tempest. "We are alive, we are here. Each one of us plays a role in the tapestry of his purpose." As thunder cracked once more, it felt like a heavenly affirmation, a recognition of their growing faith. They began to move together, hearts beating in concert. A rhythm, a dance of resolve, emerged under the storm's embrace. Each step felt like they were walking on water, buoyed by trust and divine promise. But just as the joy surged, a new heaviness fell upon them, a collective uncertainty that began to weave through the air. "Will we drown in waves of doubt?" whispered a voice from the back, a shadow of concern breaking through their exuberance. Thomas turned, facing the sea of faces filled with anticipation and fear alike. "No," he declared. "We shall rise, for he walks with us. This isn't the end, it's the beginning." As the rain mixed with their tearful laughter, an electric charge coursed through the crowd, binding them closer still. But in the depth of that joy, another question loomed, one even deeper. What trials awaited them beyond the storm, and would they trust enough to face whatever lay ahead? The storm raged on, but within this chaos, hearts began to whisper truths that transcended their fears. Each villager felt the heaviness that had cast a shadow over their unity. Yet, beneath that weight lay a glimmer of hope, urging them to dig deeper. Thomas noticed the way Mara clutched her heart, the light of determination battling the flickering doubts. "Mara," he called, moving closer to her. "What do you feel? What stirs within you amidst the storm?" She hesitated, looking to the roiling clouds and the crashing waves, then spoke with a trembling voice. "I feel the storm is a mirror, Thomas. It reflects our internal struggles. If we can face this tempest, Perhaps we can truly confront our fears together. With each word, the weight of doubt gradually dissolved. Thomas nodded, understanding dawning within him. Yes, let this storm unveil our true selves. Each storm reveals the strength we didn't know we had. The villagers started to find their voices again, shared stories of trials that mirrored the tempest outside. Someone shared how they'd longed for change while stuck in mundane routines. Another reflected on past losses, the grief ever present. With each confession, the atmosphere grew lighter, charged with raw honesty. Can we confront our waves of shame? A voice broke through, shattering an unspoken barrier. It was Caleb, the village carpenter. Will we allow this storm to wash away our burdens? A chorus of affirming shouts erupted. Yes, they declared, emboldened. With every shout, they released years of accumulated sorrow, like raindrops falling upon parched earth. And beneath those heavy clouds and cascading water, they felt something awaken. It wasn't just fear, it was also love, community, compassion interwoven through each shared experience. "Let's dance!" Lily shouted, twirling in the rain. Her laughter danced joyfully alongside the storm's rhythm, inspiring others to join. As they swayed, together they created a symphony of movement, a visual testimony of faith in action, a tangible response to the divine call. "Look how far we've come," Thomas exclaimed, feeling the warmth of hope radiating among them. As we dance, we reclaim not just our past, but our future. These storms do not define us, they refine us. The collective energy grew, sparking moments of clarity amid the turmoil. Each villager, lost in their own step, became a vessel of divine grace. Some wept openly, releasing pain. Others laughed, welcoming healing. Among that chorus of spirits, questions shifted from fear to possibility. What might we discover about ourselves? How will we learn to trust more deeply in God's presence? As their hearts sang in unison, Thomas lifted his hands, feeling a surge of grace. Together we are strong. Let us move forward, as one. Let's not only embrace his blessings, but also the lessons woven through our trials. At that moment, lightning lit up the dark sky, illuminating their faces, marking their transformation, a divine spotlight upon their courage. Yet, amid their dance and shared joy, another thought emerged. Could they maintain this newfound trust once the storm passed? Would they hold on to the connection they forged in adversity, or would they slip back into doubts when faced with stillness? The questions lingered, as open as the heavens above, inviting them all to ponder the deeper journey ahead. What awaited them as the storm began to fade? And was their newfound courage truly enough for the trials yet to come? As the storm began to slacken, the rain transformed from a deluge to a gentle shower, cleansing the earth and washing over the villagers like holy balm. They stood together, soaked but invigorated, transformed by the trials they faced. To the point a halo of resilience encircled their spirits. In that sacred stillness, Thomas felt a divine peace seep into every crevice of his heart. "Friends," he said, his voice rising above the diminishing drizzle, "the storm may pass, but the lessons linger. We now carry the gifts of the sacred insights within us." Around him, faces brightened with understanding, the warmth of community enveloping them. "This is the moment. We must anchor our faith in these revelations," Thomas continued, feeling a powerful surge of unity among them. The villagers exchanged glances of hope and renewed strength, like vines intertwining. "We have cultivated resilience," cried Mrs. Adams, her eyes shining with gratitude. "We must nurture it." With fervent voices, they began to declare their intentions. "We will grow together," shouted Joseph. "We will tend to our hearts," echoed Lily, her vibrant laughter cascading through the final drops of rain. Each declaration was a stone laid in the foundation of their enduring faith. As the last streaks of lightning faded, Thomas felt an indescribable warmth blanket the village. "Let's not allow doubt to take root again. We've learned to weather the storms, and in the quiet that follows, we must engage our insights to flourish. He raised his hands, gesturing towards the horizon where the setting sun began to peek through. Look there. That's our new beginning. Beyond the storm lies a promise, a call to embrace our faith with boldness. Their hearts resonated with his words, a ripple of excitement sparking in the congregation. They could savor the sweetness of life anew, a life colored by trials faced together. A hush fell upon them as Thomas led them in a closing prayer, connecting their hearts to that sacred bond, fortifying their spirits. Lord, we thank you for storms that awaken us to the divine. Let us remember the gifts bestowed through trial and harmony. Guide us forward. As Amen escaped their lips, a deep sense of connection filled the air, each word echoing through the canyon of lush hills. A line of vibrant sunlight broke through the clouds, illuminating their faces. Faith renewed, eyes glimmering with a touch of holy light, they gazed toward their village, standing strong and unified, ready to engage with a world waiting beyond the horizon that beckoned them forward. In that moment, Thomas realized he had a task to carry out. We must be the messengers of this truth. Let us share this testimony of faith. Emerging from the storm, they knew their stories weren't merely for their ears. They were to embrace their roles as beacons of light for others, wrestling with their waves of doubt. We will share our journey. We will help others to cultivate faith in their storms, echoed the villagers, emboldened by newfound purpose. Each soul infused their faith fervently, and as they walked back to the village square, basking in the glow of the sunset, it felt as if the very essence of heaven was blessing their steps. Thomas paused, inhaling deeply, sensing the light framing them in golden hues. The trials were only the beginning, yet their hearts were bold and resilient, watering the seeds of hope they had sown. Beyond the rain danced a world craving miracles, a world filled with hearts yearning for a glimpse of divine purpose. And so, filled with gratitude and grace, they pressed forth, ready to embrace their divine destiny. The bonds forged in the storm would carry them through every challenge, a tapestry of faith woven with threads of love, hope, and unwavering community. What awaited them on this journey? One day they would know. For now, they focused on stepping forward together, hands joined in purpose, voices lifted in unity. The air buzzed with promise, a chant of unquenchable faith behind every measured step. But this moment is sacred, just like the journey ahead. It's your turn to take a step forward too. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Trust me, it makes a difference. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this ending. Let your voice be heard. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second. Only true servants of God understand the importance of joining this community through these actions.